All right, this is a case I was doing where we were effectively opening the bite. Obviously, I've already done a bunch of stuff, but I'm going to try to replicate what I would do from the start. So, like, when we were talking about doing those buildups on those first molars, if we pretend that these two crowns are actually just buildups and everything else was untouched, in other words, these teeth here, like this little guy and these guy was untouched, and we just had these buildups on that molar, and then the buildup there, such that there's no contact anywhere else. And then you feather that down until they say A, they're hitting both sides, they feel like they're hitting both sides at the same time. B, you can see them replicate it when they open and close. They're not sliding whenever they bite. And C, you want to minimize, you want to have some gap there so they're not touching, but you want to minimize it. If they're hitting evenly but they're hitting here, that's a problem. So if I have this situation, I've got my buildups in there, they're hitting evenly both sides, I got them separated everywhere else, then I take a bite registration of exactly that. So that now I capture, so they're not going to, with a bite registration, I can put that back in there after I've prepped teeth and they're not going to slide around because that registration is going to lock them in. So for example, if we pretend that I've only prepped the left side right now, like I know the right side's prepped, but let's just, for giggles, pretend that it's just the left side. I can take my bite registration that I made. Now, it wouldn't look like this yet because these are on the prepped teeth. It would look like you took it, just like you took it on the unprepped teeth. And what I would do is I'd squirt a little bit of bite registration material in there, put it back in the patient's mouth right where it goes, and then have the patient bite together. So now I have captured that little the buildup amount in there because you've taken off the buildup and you've prepped the teeth. So now what I've done is I filled in all the gaps, but I still have my bite aligned where I wanted it. And they're not shifting around because I did that first on those buildups, and they can't really shift around because the bite registration indexes the two. So then, now that I've got that side done and stabilized with the reline on the left, I can go over, I can prep the right side, I can reline the right side of the bite registration, put it back in there, close it down, and now I have a bite registration with my patient in their centered spot and open to where I want them. And I can send that to Bob and have him mount it. Let me show you what happens next. Okay, now that I've got the crowns back from Bob, I obviously put them in place, try them in. Now, ideally, it's going to look just like the bite was. You're still going to be a little bit open, not hitting anywhere, okay? Only hitting in back. And put those in, and then ask the person, do you feel like you're hitting both sides at the same time? They probably don't. They're probably hitting and sliding a little bit, and you're going to grind. And so that's why you want some gap, maybe even a little bit more gap there, assuming you're not going to touch these front teeth. If you are, maybe you open it up more because you need, let's say you want to make the teeth longer, you're going to have to open it up to what you're going for. But ultimately, I like to have a little gap in front more so than not, because as soon as they start hitting in front, things get weird. So I get it down to where they're feeling it, that it's even. When they protrude, they can make contact on the incisors so they can bite stuff off, and also not feel like they're hitting and sliding. And so you might have to periodically adjust that bite when they come in for a couple times the first month or two. But that's basically how I do it. Also, so for what it's worth, this is what my final impression looks like. And so I have captured everything at once. So I'm not doing it half and half. And honestly, I'm not sure how you would do it and get that bite right. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, I think you have to do both at the same time. And obviously it can be done, but it's clearly harder than trying to do one side than the other.